Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that Ryuuku-san 1000% does live in Japan, because brother man came into my chat when he saw this video pulled up, and as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, he's acting like a bit of a tsundere at the moment. First, he was like, I don't recommend watching my video. Then he saw what some of my people were writing in chat, and now he's like, watch it if you want. So I think that we're gonna see through some of his hidden intentions and actually do what he wants us to do. And so this video over here is a bit of a reaction to the Wuthering Waves 2.0 livestream and reveal of Rinascita. And the thing is, he's not that excited for it. So let's figure out why that's the case. I do believe that he might have gotten a bit of an adverse reaction to this and the lead up towards it. So I'm excited to see what his final condensed thoughts are. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right on into it. I'll have Ryuku-san pulled up on the side so he can chime in for maybe some points of clarification as we're going through this react. But with that, take it away, Mr. Japan.
I'll be honest, I've been sitting at my desk here trying to press the record button for the past 20-30 minutes right now. I have had no idea how to start this video off. This is not going to be one of my typical videos where I bring out any spreadsheets, so don't have to worry about that. This is kind of like a bit of a therapy session for me right now. And what I mean by that is that since the 2.0 livestream, I have been in this weird rut where I just cannot get myself to be excited for the 2.0 update. And I don't know why. Actually, no, that's not true. I think I know why, but I want to just lead you into why I'm feeling that way. And for those that want to just dislike the video, you can just dislike the video right now, and please just click off. I don't need you listening. But if you're interested in...
It's a little diabolical, little devilish to say that 45 seconds into the vid, man. You're gonna invite some haters. I recommend saving that for at least halfway through. And so if you all did actually dislike it, I heavily suggest that you hang on for the ride. Maybe you'll change your mind.
You listening, but if you're interested in to know why I feel the way I feel, then please continue to listen, and then leave the dislike at the end of it if you want. That's completely fine. If you don't want anyone to be any bit of a negative Nancy about this whole thing, then again, just click off right now. These are the things that I have, and it's not for any logical reason. And it's not really the game's fault either. And I know this, and I know exactly what's going on. But the way I feel is the way I feel, and I don't like it. I don't like the way I feel. Everyone that's excited for the 2.0 livestream right now, you are correct. You have the right feelings, in my opinion. You have the right feelings of like, after watching that live stream, you are correct, 100%. But you know when you've got like that pit in the bottom of your stomach and you just can't really focus on anything else until you get it out? It's kind of like...
Sounds like constipation. Y'all ever had that $5.99 Domino's 2-topping medium pizza deal? And for some reason, you thought it was a good idea to eat the entire thing in one sitting? Yeah, that's gonna create a real pit in your stomach. Honestly, the next morning, you can't focus at all till that shit is out of you.
It's kind of like... I don't know. If you drink alcohol, you might know what this feels. It's like when you're feeling sick and you're just thinking, I need to just get this out, then I'll feel a lot better. And this is kind of what this video is. That's a really gross comparison, but it is just an analogy.
Hey, it wasn't that nasty, bro.
Please, for the love of God, bear with me on this. Before I go into it, I just want to let you know that I didn't hate the entirety of it. In fact, I enjoyed quite a lot of it. I just want to go very quickly about the stuff that I like from the live stream first, and then we can get into my particular issues, my particular gripes that I am having that I can't get past. Okay, so Carlotta and Rocha both look amazing. The new skins are cool. I'm particularly looking forward to the Sanhua skin. That looks great. These areas here, I'm going to get to that. The rover appearance switch, it's good that you can now change between the different genders. Since it's on the go, love it. Absolutely perfect. Immersion mode, perfect. Smooth exploration experience in Rinascita with the utility tool Flight. This looks really, really fun and interesting. I've heard that it might be region locked, or it might not be. I don't know. If it is region locked, I actually do not mind that at all. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, this new area, this new region has been designed with the express intention of people flying around in it, whereas the other area, Jinsho, doesn't really have much in the way of that. So maybe around Mount Firmament, where you can jump off the dragon's head. But if it is region locked, I understand why. So that makes sense to me.
My personal opinion on region locking is Rinascita was designed with the flight gadget in mind and the ability to fly. There's a lot more exploration and stuff built into all the different features that it has, and there's a chance, right, if it is is just available in all of the other regions, you could destroy the exploration experience. Make certain areas way too easy, destroy like the complexity of some of the puzzles, and kind of just like ruin the 1.0 feeling or the 1.4 feeling, whatever it is. You know, there could be unintended consequences for something like that. And so that might be something that they release later on after they've adjusted some of the maps. Maybe they adjust the flying, they nerf it in other regions, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they can design other future regions with that kind of travel in mind. It's just, you don't understand, nobody understands at this point, right? What the consequences could be for the existing exploration. I think somebody also made a suggestion, right? That once your map is at like 80 to 90% completed, then the flying unlocks. And if that's the case, I think that's like a good compromise, because then there's no puzzles left to destroy or like gameplay flow to kind of like interrupt from that.
If it is region locked, I understand why. So that makes sense to me. The boss challenges, early access, fine, that's fine. Cool. Archive melodies, this is something that I had a lot of people saying that they addressed your issue, dude, about the music thing. No, what it says here, while you're in the vicinity of this tie of echo, I think this is a misspelling, a type of echo, where basically you can go to the echo and it's always at that same certain spot and you can change music in that area, but it's not exactly what I was looking for. I wanted more of a more portable thing, like and again, an actual CD player type gadget where I can change music at any time on the fly, whatever. So it's good that they have this option to change the music, but I want it to be more portable. So this is kind of like half addressing my issue.
I'm wondering what the actual implementation is, because if it genuinely is just like within like a 5-foot radius of the echo, then that's like, I agree, that's like a little pointless. It's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna hear custom music in like 5% of the town. And unless you're like frequently visiting that area or you have like a shit ton of reasons to go back there, it's like you're not really gonna use it that often. If instead it's just like a music box that you carry with you, then that's different. I feel like what we heard on the live stream was a lot different than what we see on this page. And I feel like the live stream is what's actually correct. Because why would they put so much effort into like creating that UI if it's like literally like a 5-foot radius? That sounds stupid. Like, it sounds stupid to me.
New resonators, have gone over that. Weapons look amazing. Cool, cool, cool. Co-op looks fun and interesting. This John Wick tutorial, I love John Wick, so I want to see what they're going to do with that. More pulls here. The pincer maneuver, I've heard a lot of people have problems with pincer maneuver in the current patch, so hopefully they've tweaked that to address some people's issues. And this Wuthering exploration, this Nimbus Sanctum. I'll talk about it later. The bosses, Hecate, Sentry Construct, Lorelei, Dragon of Dirge, and all these echoes here, they all look fantastic. And what we saw of the Hecate boss battle in the co-op event, it looked really fun and interesting. So I'm looking forward to fighting against all of these.
That's what it looked like.
Nightmare Echoes, cool. New Sonata effects, that plays into what I was saying earlier at the end of my Wuthering Waves hate video about the all the different sets coming out, and it just goes into the echo experience. Yes, it is still an issue. I do not care what anyone says. Even if you do that method that is being laid out, oh, you're supposed to do it this way, it will mitigate the issue, but you will eventually run into that issue. I would get.
I mean, I'm done. I'm just farming them at this point. I'm done. All my characters are done. Like, everybody's built. I have full builds on everybody that needs one. I could farm, but there's no point because there's nothing left to farm for me. Every character's complete. They're at least like 70. They're all like 70 to 70. Every single one. 70 crit rate, 260 plus crit damage. That's every single person. The only set I don't have is the Glacial one, but who's gonna use that except for fucking Ling Yang? Bro, Ling Yang is the only one I have left. We'll agree to disagree on this one, but maybe the devs will come out with something in regards to this. Maybe they will come out with something.
The numbers just do not bear it out. Phantom Echoes, cool. Holograms, cool. And then PlayStation 5, right. So let's get into it. So why am I not excited for the 2.0 Rinascita update? I just can't get past that. I feel it's a little too early. The game has only been out for about 7 months, and we have this complete different tonal change from what we have in Jinzhou. Like, and then people are just saying, it's a new area, dude. I know. I get that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's too early to switch things up, in my opinion. The reason why I feel that way is because through 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4, I just don't feel we've really had a payoff to that area yet. Like at the end of Act 6, we had like the boss battle with Dreamless, and that was good. That was really fun. I enjoyed that. And then later in 1.3, we had the flashback to the Lament. And then after that, we got 1.4 with the Camellia's story. But that was like Camellia's story. It didn't feel like a good bookend to Jinzhou as an area. I feel like we were building up towards something, and I don't know what I feel like. For lack of a better term, I feel like I've been kind of blue-balled, really. Like we've been led on this journey through this area that's leading up to something, and then we just suddenly go to Rinascita, and I can't help but feel like it's a little too early. If they'd stayed in Jinzhou for another patch or two, to at least get it to a full year, and then on the anniversary, they drop 2.0, and then we have this come out with all Rinascita and all of its bright and bubbly glory. And now I know for a fact I've got people saying, the story's going to be dark, don't worry. I know that a dark story can be told in a bright area. That's fine. I'm sure they will. On the story thing, I do have some issues that I want to talk about later that are personal issues. I don't even know where I'm going with this, to be honest.
I think this is a good time to unpack what we've just been hearing about. His take on the whole, it's too early, it's too soon. I wanted to see a little bit more in Jinzhou. I think that's a fair viewpoint to have. Right, because Jinzhou's involvement in the 1.0 storyline was basically, we have all of the 1.0 main quest. We sort of conclude that with the big old face-off with Dreamless. With help of Jian, we take her down. She gets banished to like wherever, blah, blah, blah. And then we have immediately in 1.1, the sort of breakdown of Mount Firmament, right? To establish our relationship or reestablish our relationship with the Sentinel of the region. Get a little bit more lore, get a breakdown of like Jinxie and Changli. And then in 1.2 is kind of like where Jinzhou ends in the story, right? It's a bit like a celebration. It's a bit of like a recap. We introduce some more new characters, but people are generally, right, like having a good time in 1.2. So if you view that as like the first arc of the game, I actually think it's fine. You want to know why? Because ladies and gentlemen, the first region in a lot of other gacha games is not that long either. Let's think about for a second, Belobog and Mondstadt. They weren't that long. Right? They weren't that long at all. Belobog was kind of like done in maybe like 6 or 7 hours. Probably less. I'm probably overstating how long it was. But it was all done in version 1.0. Mondstadt was also done in 1.0. And so when we think about it this way, Jinzhou is the first region of the game. It was kind of like, hey, we got done with the whole Dreamless storyline in 1.0. We didn't even move on to any other regions. WuWa isn't competing with Genshin 1.0. It's competing with Genshin now. So are you saying that a game that just got released 5, 6, 7 months ago now has to compete with a game that's on like literally version 5 in terms of the story progression? Could you explain at least with like a slight bit more detail what you're trying to say? That's like saying any new anime are competing with Naruto. Hey guys, your anime, its first 12 seasons need to have the same exact amount of story and like story exposure and progression as animes that have been out for 5 years. Otherwise, trash. You need to cover more in your first 12 episodes as animes that have been out for 5 years. What are you saying? This is why I'm asking you to explain yourself, Galewind, because this is just such an intellectually dishonest thing to say. Like, that's like saying every anime needs to come out with not 12 episodes, but like 60 on release. Otherwise, no competition at all. So are you gonna explain this at all, or are you just gonna type this shit and then leave? Is the face cam just like more intimidating? You guys haven't seen me mad on face cam yet. For video games, I can argue it needs to compete with current games as they are now because the live service games are fighting for your time now. Compared to anime, where once you watch it, you're able to move on to another series. This is where your argument sort of falls apart. You can do your dailies in 5 fucking minutes in Wuthering Waves. And so if the argument is like, oh my god, I can't spare 5 minutes, you're too busy to even be playing games in the first place. Probably less than 5 minutes, for frankly being honest. If you start your day and you log off next to a tacit field and you log in next to a tacit field, it's gonna take you like 3 minutes or less, depending on how built your characters are. The only daily you might not do is like the BP one where you collect 3 echoes, but it's like, you don't even need that one to easily clear with 70. So it's just like, if you can't spare 3 minutes to do your dailies, just, you know, you clearly are too busy in your life, or the games aren't enough of a priority in the first place. Dreamless was literally 6 months ago. 1.3 was basically 3 months ago. It felt like we were going to get one more before Rinascita time-wise. We haven't seen anything for the main story quest for those 3 months. I've already covered this dynamic a little bit in some of my past videos, but I'll kind of like go into a little bit more depth in it right now. Imagine that the lower scope of versions like 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4 is because they don't have like the full team working on those versions. They had probably probably a majority of the Kuro development team working on 2.0 in the background while they're pushing out the 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4 patches. And so not seeing progression in the main story quest, but then seeing, holy shit, they're coming out with 8 new fucking regions in 2.0. I think that's kind of like where the difference, the reallocation of dev time is. I think it's very fair to say that Wuthering Waves 2.0 might be quite literally the biggest update in gacha gaming in terms of what they have genuinely added to the game. I think it might be one of the biggest, if not the biggest. 8 new regions. You need flight to even travel it properly because it's actually too fucking big. 30 whatever new echoes. 5 new Sonata sets that they had to balance around to make sure that they're actually not overpowered relative to other options. 25 new echoes, sure. 25 new echoes, unique echo skills for each one. Who knows? Who knows how many quests they're gonna have? How many world quests? How many side quests? How many just like, blue icon quests? We don't even know any of those things. But we can imagine there's probably gonna be a shit ton of quests too, because they have a big ass map. There's probably gonna be a lot of NPCs as well. Brother man, you look at 2.0, you look at Inazuma, you look at Sumeru, there wasn't actually a ridiculously huge amount in the 0.0 patches. There wasn't actually like a ridiculous amount. They came out with expansions to their map continually to add new other regions. Take 4.0, for example. You got like a small portion of Fontaine that grew a lot when you look at something like Fontaine. That starting map in 4.0 wasn't that big, right? But then they added to it in future patches. And Sumeru, they didn't really have no desert in 3.0, did they? They ganked us with the desert and made one of the most barren and ugly regions in gacha gaming. The fucking underground. Oh my god. Oh my lord. The desert and the underground. That's quality content, right guys? That's good content, right? You literally just fucking walk around for half of it. There's literally nothing. So yeah, they add big expansions. But what I'm thinking is that 2.0 is like all of those map expansions, but all in one patch. And so we might not see a lot of expansions to the map in 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3 because it's actually just all already there. And that's what I mean by it being one of the biggest updates. Because 8 is crazy and they all look really, really fucking different. Does that make sense? That makes sense, yes, but that doesn't mean that narratively in the story it feels very abrupt. Well, think about it this way. You can imagine chronologically 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4 happened pretty quickly. You could even say that 1.4 is like a week after, or even less, like days after 1.3 ended. And now 2.0 is going to be days after 1.4 ended. It doesn't feel like a lot of time has passed, especially between 1.3 and 1.4. It feels like almost no time at all in the in-game world has actually passed. Obviously, right, the patches take like a couple of months to go through, but it does not seem like 1.4 happened a long time after 1.3. In the story chronologically is my point of view. It's almost like 1.3 ended, the whole saga with Shorekeeper, and then 1.4 happens like days later. That's my point of view on it.
Why I say that as well is because I know that the way I'm feeling about this and the way I'm thinking about this is illogical. And I don't like that. I don't like the way I am thinking about this. And people are just going to say, just get past it. And yeah, I would love to. Going back through all of the marketing material leading up to 1.0, all of it. The test footage, the CBT1 marketing material, the CBT2 marketing material, and everything leading up right until 1.0, until we had the live stream. We had a certain vibe, which is a certain vibe of Jinsho. And I was really invested in that kind of style, in that kind of visual aesthetic. And I enjoyed that a lot. So when we're going through all the areas and all the quests in Jinsho, sure, some of the quests didn't really hit, like there were some misses there, here and there, but the actual vibe itself, the actual overall tones and visual aesthetic of the game as a whole was something I really resonated with, forgive the pun. And I really enjoyed that area, and I enjoyed the story we were going through that area as well. But like I just said, I felt like we were leading up to something, like a good final act of
Dreamless, world-ending threat, Avengers Assemble. Boom!
Of Jinsho, and it just didn't come. And I feel like if we just had something like that, if we had just one more big battle that wasn't something to do with a companion story quest, it was a main story quest where we go through and we have to go through another big semi-cataclysmic event, not a full event, because I understand that they could build up to an even bigger event later on, maybe 3.0, 4.0, whatever it is. I just need one more thing in the main story quest, which was very similar to what we had in 1.0 in Act 6 when we were leading up to fighting Dreamless. I wanted something a little bit more closer to that, where we're charging towards and we are preventing the looming tacit Discord crisis, which is what this area was entirely supposed to be about.
The whole world-ending threat with Dreamless kind of wasn't enough for Ryuku. He wanted another world-ending threat in 1.0. I think your opinion is valid. It's just, like, how many do you want? To a degree, right? I would imagine that it could have diluted the significance of a world-ending threat to have so many of them happen, right? It's like, now it's like we're in the universe where, like, one happens every weekend, and that makes them seem not as important or as impactful. That would be my opposing viewpoint to having multiple world-ending threats in just the 1.0 patch, the 1.x patches. Because now it's like, you're just getting one every version, and you're like, well, okay. Well, okay, who's fucking shit up this time, guys? Who's trying to blow up the world this time? Doesn't have to be another Tacit Discord thing. I just gave that as an example of scale of the kind of event that I wanted. It could have been Frolova breaking Scar out of prison or something. Then what about the 1.3 and 1.4? Wouldn't that kind of fit the bill? Tethys freaking the fuck out? You wanna know what happened to set up 1.3? You had Black Shore's agents getting literally the life essence sucked out of them and then turning into empty husks. In Jinzhou, by the way. They got their souls sucked out in Jinzhou. And that's what kicks off the 1.3 storyline. You wanna know what happened in 1.4? The Black Cat from the Elusive Realm tried to introduce the Somnoir into the real world. It would have destroyed everything. The Somnoir was gonna flood into reality and destroy Jinzhou, just on the other side of the map. So we got one world destruction event in 1.3 and kind of like another one in 1.4. Why can't they be considered part of the main story quest? If the Somnoir is about to spill into the real world and like destroy Jinzhou, why can't it be a part of the main story quest? It's voiced, it's canon, it progresses Rover's personality and background lore, it's self-contained. Define self-contained. But we learned in 1.4 that Rover was one of the people that made the Elusive Realm and the Somnoir. We learned that they literally created it. And so isn't that kind of just intrinsically tied to the story quest or the main story? Rover created something that potentially can destroy the world. Yes, but how much will that affect? Well, that's the thing. It's the current patch. It's the current fucking patch. So yeah, it's live right now. So you're not going to see how it impacts the main story because it's the current patch. Like it's live right now, so we won't be able to see what the impact is of it. Let's at least be slightly reasonable with the critiques here. It is the current patch, and the story is happening right now. And so I think it's reasonable that you can't see the impact of story plus event yet. Like, how would you? It's currently happening right now. Isn't it fair to like at least wait a little bit? And I guess there's like a final bit of clarification for this, guys. The Somnar quest is tagged as a main story one. The Somnar quest is tagged as a main story quest in the quest log. It adds to the lore of the world, yes, absolutely. But your reasoning would mean absolutely everything that happens should be regarded as the main story quest when it isn't. I don't think that's quite what I said, though, to be honest. What I said was that if the main character was involved in the creation and the consequences of it, and a big part of the main story quest is us rediscovering our past, I think it's fair to say that the Somnar quest is a main story quest, when quite literally, one of the driving points of the plot is us not fucking remembering anything. And this is something that we did that we don't remember. I think that's a fair viewpoint to have. I'm still going to go with the point of 1.4 is the active patch. And so you're not going to see the downstream impacts of 1.4 in the patch that it's live. There's no chance. There are downstream implications. This is like seeing Scaramouche in version 1.0 of the game and then saying he's plot irrelevant. That would be a little bit too early to jump on that gun because clearly he was. That's exactly what you're saying, though. I might have lost what you're saying over this discussion, if I'm frankly being honest. I mean, anyone that critiques me for taking a long time to react to a vid, little brain damage. If a creator is able to turn a 20-minute video into 3 hours, good for them. Good for them. Other creators wish they could do that. Yeah, no, totally. Ryuku, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong at all. My point is that you're coming in with your opinion and your take on the story, and I'm giving you my opinion on your opinion. Where it's like, you're saying that you feel this certain way. I'm seeing how you're feeling about it, and I'm applying it to my experience and saying what I feel. It's like, you know, we're both eating a pizza. We're both eating the same pizza. And you say, you know what? This one feels like it's like too salty. It's not savory enough. And then I say, well, the pepperonis and blah, 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 right? They kind of do feel that salty, savory sensation for me. And so I don't agree with that take. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We're just agreeing to disagree here. And that's perfectly fine.
Entirely supposed to be about. And because I didn't get that, I just feel like I was just left hanging a little. And there are other plot lines as well that don't really feel like they have been fulfilled for me. Like the whole thing regarding Geshin and also Scar as well. Scar's in prison. Maybe he's dead, who knows? But like we have those plot lines as well that I feel needed to be addressed before we continue on. People were saying that there's nothing left to do in Jinzhou. And I completely disagree. There's a lot more stuff that they could have done in Jinzhou before.
Well, think about it this way. What if they just went ahead and they decided to revisit Jinzhou during 2.0, much like how games like Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact, Honkai revisited Belobog with the whole Topaz storyline, right? Who's to say that can't happen? I don't see why that couldn't happen, right? We get Rinascita's whole thing sort of like down and sorted out in 2.3, and then 2.0, 2.4 goes back to Jinzhou.
Or they go to Rinascita. And in the end, yeah, like I said, it's just, I wanted that last final act to finish off the area. Like in other games as well, and before people say, well, you shouldn't compare this to another game, shut up. With other games as well, when you have a new area, where you have a new event or something, you have one big final battle to like cap it off. And I don't, like, to repeat myself, I just don't feel like we had that.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like in Jinzhou, we actually had two. I feel like we had two. Dreamless, and then also Jue. I thought we actually had two, to be honest. That's my point of view on it. Those two boss fights were incredibly cinematic. And honestly, the whole Jue Jinsei cutscene leading up to it, you know, her like basically having her arm like disintegrate as she's capturing the energy, that was pretty baller, if I'm frankly being honest. That was pretty baller. And then the fallacy of no rewards in 1.3. I kind of like that, right? The hands coming out to like grab you, the whole train teleportation, drunk pom-pom coming in for the assist. Pretty cool.
1.4, we had the companion story quest with Camellia, and then that was it. That was the end of her story, and that was fine. That isn't the main story quest. So I think I just wanted one last thing in Jinzhou to happen for us to do, for us to go through before we go to Rinascita. But on the point of Rinascita as well, about the complaints that it's too vibrant as well, there are areas in Rinascita that look absolutely incredible. Like these areas here, this serpent's tail, dragon tail, whatever it is up here, this Elden Ring looking area. I love the vibes of this as well. Again, here as well, it looks absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
And here and here. This is giving me like Two Towers and Sauron type vibes. So out of like, what was it, the 6 there? There are 1, 2, kind of 50-50 on this one, I'll be honest. Like these 2 areas here. So the majority of Rinascita is playing into these darker vibes, and I greatly appreciate that. My worry is that we're going to be stuck in these 2 areas here. Like we have a whole Wuthering exploration thing for the Nimbus Sanctum, and this is the area I am least looking forward to.
Okay, man. Okay. I feel like we're jumping the gun at least a little bit. We might be jumping the gun at least a little bit here. Surely we can see at least like what the map looks like first. I kind of view it as like a new meta in a sense, where we're like theory crafting potential problems. And I'm just like, man, that's a lot of like mental brain power that we're using for something that, you know, frankly, could like be 300% away from the truth. We're theory crafting what could go wrong. And it's like, we have no ability to change anything. Might as well just wait a little bit and hang on for the ride, you know?
This is not what I want. And again, that is a personal preference. I get it. That is a me issue. I'm not interested in this pink and fluffy rainbows and sunshine, literal rainbows and sunshine type area. That's just not what I was hoping for from Rinascita. I'm good with all
fair.
this. This is fine for me. I understand that, but I just really do not vibe with this area. But again, that is a personal problem. That is a me issue. I'm just gonna have to go through the exploration to get the.
Well, think about it this way, Ryuku-san. Based on the story trailer we were shown and the Wuthering exploration event, they seem Raguna and Nimbus Sanctum focused. That's why I'm worried. Well, I mean, that might be the first one. What if they just have more Wuthering explorations in the darker areas, right? It's not like just because they did the Raguna and Nimbus Sanctum focus one doesn't mean that they're not going to do ones for the others. Just like how you're theory crafting problems, I could be theory crafting solutions. Just one has like, you know, an inherently more of a positive spin than the other ones.
Rewards, because I'm basically free to play, so I want the rewards. I don't want to miss out on the Astrite. Then after that, I just hope that I'm not there for any longer than I absolutely have to be there. This is not what I'm looking for. And it's kind of like when you go to a theme park and they have all the theme park areas. You have like the more adult oriented. I don't mean like Gunner type. I mean like a more scary rides type area. And then you've got the kids section. Just don't go to the kids section. And that's what I want to do as well. I want to avoid that area, because it's not what I'm interested in. I want to stick to these other areas down here. I want to stick to this area and this area and this area. So there are more areas for me to enjoy. I'm looking forward.
But my worries are based on what they have shown. Well, I mean, this is what they also showed, right? And so my solution is they make Wuthering exploration in the darker areas. I think that's based off of what they showed, right? In fact, a majority of the areas kind of like fit the bill for what you're describing. And we have the IGN footage where there's a world quest in a dark area where there's like literally like tacit discords ripping up the terrain and destroying the environment. Like we literally have gameplay footage from IGN that shows that. They show the undead dragon too.
I'm looking forward to these, especially this one. But on the point of the story quest as well. In a vacuum, this storyline, the way that they showed it with also Frolova walking through the crowd and like something, she's like having some kind of effect on the echoes in the crowd as well. There's a lot of intrigue in there, there's a lot of interest in there. And in a vacuum, like by itself, it looks amazing. It looks really interesting. I want to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. I have a certain problem though. And this is a problem that I'm going to basically call PPTSD, post-Penacony traumatic stress disorder. And when I was watching this, I saw a lot of parallels to Penacony. And these parallels probably aren't there, but because I was so fucking traumatized by Penacony, but how absolute dog shit it was, I'm worried that it's going to happen again.
So this is all just Honkai Star Rail's fault. Every problem that you have is quite literally just because of Hoyoverse. Penacony ruined you. Penacony ruined Ryuku. Brother, man. Penacony ruined you, but it's like, I'm gonna be honest, man. You're letting Penacony ruin you. You got out of the toxic relationship with Penacony and Honkai Star Rail, but you're just letting it stay in your mind. And you're letting it ruin and influence every other bit of content you're consuming. It's gotten so bad that you're manufacturing potential problems in your head when you haven't even played the version yet. That is not healthy, man. You haven't even experienced the region yet, and we're theory crafting potential problems. It's like going into another relationship, right? With baggage from the prior one, and then imagining issues that aren't there. Dude, that's not good. But that's the thing, man. Like, most people would say for a situation like this, get some help. Genuinely. You gotta get some help, man. Because, like, this seems like genuinely like an unhealthy mindset. I guess to go into any other game, right? Because next thing you know, you're gonna be playing Arknight's Enfield. And then you're gonna be looking at that trailer and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I remember that one time when WuWa was gonna be post-apocalyptic and then they had like the fucking Violet Banyan. Oh, Arknight might do the same thing in Enfield. It's just gonna keep going, dude. Like there's gonna be, you know what I mean? You gotta be able to move on. Otherwise, it's gonna be really hard for you to enjoy things.
Playing through Honkai Star Rail, I really enjoyed Billabog. I thought it was great. And then Jonjo Lofu, it was fine. And then when I say that playing through Penacony was literally the worst gaming experience of my life, I absolutely mean it. And then I got some people saying that, oh, what about this game? What about that game? Yeah, I haven't played them. I do not play a game unless I know it's going to be good. So I went in and had high hopes because Bellabug was amazing. And I'd heard so many good things about Penacony. So when I actually got to Penacony and I had that, it was an absolute gut punch, and I felt winded by it. And now I know for a fact that people are going to be saying, that's a bit of an over-exaggeration, right? No. Yeah. Probably. I am someone that gets really invested into stories, for better or worse. I really do enjoy the stories. That's why in my videos about Honkai Star Rail and about Wuthering Waves as well, I put a lot of emphasis on the story, because I feel like these kinds of games here, these are story-focused games. Like other games such as, say, like Tekken, Street Fighter, or even like Sonic, whatever, they have a story to them, but you don't really play them for the story. Whereas these ones, personally, I do think there's a big focus on the story as well. Maybe some people don't play for the story, and then that's fine, that's for you. I enjoy all the combat, I enjoy all the gameplay in here, but I really enjoy the story. And if I get invested into a story enough, it really does affect me, because I do enjoy it. And I'm sure a lot of other people out there can kind of understand what I'm talking about. Let's use the Penacony story, for example. Like, I didn't get invested into it because it was just not something that I had been focusing on like at all. I went into Honkai Star Rail as a freshly new player, and Penacony was already out. Whereas a lot of other people had been looking forward to Penacony for months prior to that. So they had already had some kind of idea of what Penacony was going to be like and what the characters were going to be like, and also So they had all of this when they had also had the drip marketing as well, and then they got hype for the drip marketing, like this character looks cool, that character, this trailer looks cool, blah 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 blah, and then they got really invested in the characters. So when they play through that story and they play these characters, they're a lot more heavily invested in the story and they're interested in more. I did not have that. I did not go through the characters thing there. I did not go through all that, so that's why it didn't really hit for me at all. So playing through the story quest without all that backlog of information, it didn't hit for me. But the thing is, I am invested in this story. I am heavily invested in this story, in the characters and in the world itself. So coming back to why I'm getting like PPTSD, I just want to lay out these parallels that I saw that I did. It's not like I was looking.
Before we dive into the parallels, I think Ryuku just basically said he really likes the WuWa story. And so that's kind of like driving into this concern that it's going to get fucked up. That explains everything. He loves the Wuthering Waves 1.x story.
To see them, it's just like they stood out to me because I was so fucked up by Penacony. The whole like absent founder, keeper of the region area with the Sentinel's gone missing, and they also got the Watchmaker as well. I saw that parallel, and the two warring factions fighting over control of the area. You've got the IPC and the family in Honkai Star Rail, and you've also got what's referred to as the family in Rinascita as well. These two families here, the Montelli family and the Fisalia family as well. And then you've also got this like rogue faction in there. You've got the Masked Fools in Honkai Star Rail and the Fools Troop. Again, fools are in the name as well. That's not hard to see where that connected in my brain too. And then we've also got the MC coming to this new land and being in the middle of everything with Trailblazer and Rover here. And with all the areas itself being bright and lively, with a heavy emphasis on fun and celebration. The only real difference I saw was the part of the Fractidus being in this land. And
I want to be fair in these parallels that you're drawing. I feel like a lot of them are like quite literally just the names. The family in HSR Penacony, right? The family was like the head honcho, the ones running everything. In Rinascita, the Sentinel, the Hippocampus, that's the one running everything. And then the Montelli is just like a faction. And then the Fools Troop, that's a circus. And they like perform. The Masked Fools, they kill people and cause havoc and rig bombs on spaceships. We got that Black Pearl and Captain Brant Sparrow too. I just think that a lot of the parallels that you drew, it's kind of like in name only. At least at this point, especially when we don't know anything. I feel like you are cooking a little bit too much here. Like trying to draw those relationships this early on. Cause like, bro, we've seen like we've seen like 2 cutscenes. And then we're already like taking a look and like seeing how the entire plot of Penacony is applying based off of 2 cutscenes. Yeah, man, that's like, there's like worrying and then there's like going like just way above, you know, like plus ultra. Like this, there's worrying and then there's being like a hypochondriac. You know what I mean? Like at this point, your mind is like reaching.
And that's actually the part that I'm really looking forward to the most. I want to see how the Fractidus play into this story here. I'm really looking forward to that. But the fact of the matter is, as I saw these parallels, and looking at the trailer for the story as well, where it seems to be really heavily invested in these 2 warring factions, I saw a lot of this kind of similar themes playing out between Penacony and what seems to be happening in Rinascita as well. I'm just really worried. I'm really scared that they're gonna do that. They're gonna pull another Penacony and just have an entire fucking yap fest. But we know that Kuro Games, so far at least, have not done that. Like I said, I do not look at leaks. I haven't even seen the IGN 10-minute gameplay footage yet because I'd heard that there were some story leaks in there. So maybe I should actually watch that just to like alleviate my worries and my concerns. And it's also just like these entire like, bright tones again in these 2 areas specifically.
I think it would
also
help.
kind of here as well. I'm seeing kind of similarities as well.
I think watching
Coming
the
from
IGN
playing Genshin for a few years, and also I still play Honkai Star Rail. I still do my dailies. I don't do the story because fuck that. But I still play Honkai Star Rail to do my dailies and such. But at the end of the day though, I won't know until 2.0 drops. And when 2.0 drops, I will go in there, I'll do my best to ignore this nagging feeling in the back of my head. I'm actually pretty good at that, which is why I've been like trying to get past this. I do feel like I'm able to ignore and put my personal feelings aside. When I know that something is objectively true, I say this is objectively true. When I know something is subjective, like this entire video has been completely subjective. This entire video has been completely subjective about my personal opinions and my personal problems. This is a me issue, absolutely. But I will not know, and I will not have my fears alleviated until January 2nd when 2.0 drops. And when it does, I want this game to prove me fucking wrong. I want it to prove me wrong. I want it to prove everyone else that is also feeling like me as well wrong. And I have high hopes that Kuro Games can do this. If they do have a similar storyline to Penacony, I have high hopes that they will actually do that story better. So that's what it is. I have to wait for another week, well, just over a week until the 2.0 drops. And I want to enjoy this game to the absolute fullest. I really do. But until that point, I'm just really worried. And this is a me issue. This is completely a me issue. I feel it's a bit too quick. I don't feel we had a sufficient climax to the Jinzhou area. And I'm worried about the parallels I'm seeing between this and Penacony. I have these three things. These are my three main issues. And these are all personal issues. So if you're looking forward to Rinascita, you're correct. You should. I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm looking forward to this being an absolutely fantastic patch. I want to be proven wrong. I know I'm in the minority, and I do love this game. I love the combat, I love the design style, I love the characters, and everything like that. I get it. It's just one of those things that I need to get out of my system first, which is why I'm making this video. I just need to get these feelings out there to like cleanse myself of these emotions. Because
Hey Ryuku, you heard of this cool thing called a diary? Just turn the background music off and play whatever you want.
like I said, this is a personal issue that I need to get over. I want to enjoy this game. I'm sure it's going to give me a lot of fun. I'm sure I'm really going to enjoy a lot of the stuff in here as well, like the flight and flying through all these areas. I know I'm probably going to enjoy most of it, but I'm just worried. I'm just really fucking worried. So yeah, that's all I have to really say. Some people have been saying that they're getting annoyed with me being like during the live stream. They were getting annoyed with me being a bit salty when anything bright came up. I'm like, I can't help it. Everything that I say is legitimately just 100% my opinion. That's the way I feel about this. I will never change the way I feel, the way I think about things. If you see me say something, that's exactly how I feel about it.
What I will say, Ryuku, is that I think you have, to a degree, displayed signs, if not evidence, of a somewhat unhealthy mindset about past experiences. And I think that is fair to say, especially the whole like PPTSD idea. The Penacony as a whole was just so distressing that like now it's impressing itself upon every other bit of media you consume. I feel like you should do something to resolve that, if I'm frankly being honest, because the way that you've worded it, right, and I guess the impact that it's visibly having on you, I feel like that's not healthy in the long run. Genuinely, I feel like that's not very healthy. I feel like it's gonna do some damage to you in the long run. I'm not gonna tell you to just like sack up and get over it. Maybe that's what you need to do, but I think it's a matter of like, hey, let's take things at face value. Let's take things for what they are. What is worrying at this point going to do? Is thinking about this going to change anything at all? And if the answer is no, why think about it? You know what I mean?
Even if I get massive on YouTube, or maybe if my channel absolutely tanks after this video, whatever. If my channel gets massive or whatever, I can continue after this and I get sponsors, I don't care how much the money is. I will not compromise on my opinions in any way, shape or form. I just don't care. I say I don't care, but I'm making this entire video about my feelings and my opinions. So I care to some degree, but it's like in this one, I know for a fact that I care about the fact that I care this way, if that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but it's like, I know the way I'm feeling right now is completely twisted, and I know I'm wrong. This isn't a video in any way, shape or form of me saying, I feel this way and you should feel that way too. It's not. If anything, I want to feel more like you. I want to feel more like everyone else is feeling right now, around 80% from what I had a poll on earlier. But it's just one of those really annoying things, you know? So we'll just have to see.
I voted on that poll. Y'all want to know what my answer on that poll was? I'm ready for rainbows and sunshine, ladies and gentlemen. I am ready for the land of echoes. Echoes.
I will continue to make content. I will continue to cover this game because I do love this game. I am looking forward to 2.0. And the thing I'm looking forward to the most is just finding out. I'm not looking at leaks, but I want to find out how they're going to present this new area to me. And I want to be proven completely fucking wrong. That is the one thing I want the most. Again, sorry for the rambling. This is not a scripted video. This is just completely on the fly. I don't even know how I would have scripted this video in the first place. So yeah, if you hate this video, if you hate my opinion, that dislike button is right there for you to click and just go ham on. Tell all your friends to dislike it as well. I don't really care. But that's just the way I feel. And like I said, I am looking forward to 2.0 because I just need to find out. I just need to find out. So yeah, that's all I have to really say.
I would say overall, this is an interesting video. The best way that I would describe it is like a video diary. In terms of like, these are all of the things that I have potentially to worry about. This is why I'm feeling this way. And this is kind of like the explanation for why I'm feeling this way. It's an interesting conversation for sure. And I think you definitely led with like a lot of preparation for it, saying that like, hey, If you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot of stuff in that video that I disagreed with. And I think it's completely fair that I disagreed with a lot of stuff in the video. My advice, right, and kind of like my take on the whole thing is all this effort that we're putting into theory crafting what could go wrong when nothing has happened yet. I don't think it's that particularly helpful in any outlet of life. Unless you're like literally trying to like run a business and you're running like strategic analysis, right, on like investments. It's a bit rough. I think it's just like a bit of a rough viewpoint to have, especially for something like a game, especially for something where you're the consumer and like you're here to enjoy something. And when that's like the role that you're playing in this interaction, your job is to enjoy something, and all you can think about is what could go wrong or what could be bad. It's a bit rough. So overall, I'm not gonna say that it was like the best video ever, but I do think that the opinions shared were valid. But I also think that like, hey, why necessarily form this deep of an opinion this early as well, right? We're stressing ourselves out for no reason. And so maybe this was a bit of like a therapy session, a therapy react. But guys, if worrying and talking about the problems isn't actually going to change anything, and every bit of like mental willpower or like mental space we're giving to this situation is literally going to do nothing, why spend the brain power on it when it can be allocated to quite literally anything else? Go goon or something. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that was cool. Let me know what y'all think. And yeah, we're going to get through this. We're going to get to version 2.0 and we're going to have a great time. Peace out.